Studio City. Today I'm going to do a little interesting video for you. We're going to drive around Hollywood and get over the hill here and drive around Hollywood. I'm going to show you what happened in Los Angeles around 2006, 2007 when we started teaching guys how to meet girls. Now, a lot of people know about Mystery coming to town and the whole movement that was in LA, but a lot of people don't know what happened with New York's influence in LA. And specifically, I'm talking about a guy named Brad P. Now, Brad was a guy who was on MASF forums. If you guys know about that, it's the real old school dating stuff. And he was meeting girls in New York and learning how to do that. And he ended up seeing on these forums a lot of guys in LA. A lot of guys starting to talk about a lot of terms that he knew that maybe, or he didn't know, right? He didn't know what they were, but everybody seemed like they knew what they were. And he was like, wow, these people are ahead of me. Came out to LA and realized that most of them weren't. Most of them were scared to talk to girls. So, through the course of meeting all these guys, Brad decided to do a deal with Nick Savoy and do some kind of like runoff workshops for love systems at the time. Now, at that same time, the TV show was going on, this VH1 TV show that Mystery was on, and I was one of the dudes in Iowa who was watching this TV show. At the time, I was bartending, and I was thinking to myself, like, you know, look at this idiot, to be quite honest. Look at this idiot in his goofy hat, right? Then I started listening to what the guy was saying, and I was like, oh man, this guy, oh wow, there's a dude on a stretcher here getting pulled out of his house. It looks like he got the shit beat out of him. Wow. Yikes. Well wishes, sir. Hope you're all right. Anyway, so young Jake in college doing engineering classes is watching this TV show, and I was like, man, this guy's an idiot. And then I started listening to what the guy was saying, and I was like, wow, there's something to this. This guy is no idiot. In fact, he knows more than I ever could dream of knowing. Pretty much figured that out right away, and I was like, sold, right? So I make a phone call to what I think is Mystery's company, but he's already, in my understanding, lost his company. They had a big legal battle, him and Mystery. So Brad's got this deal with these guys, and I call these guys, not knowing it's not Mystery's dude. And long story short, I ended up at a workshop with this guy Brad, this unknown guy Brad, right? A year, maybe 6 months later, I think, I did another workshop somewhere around there, and I was instantly hired. And soon I moved to Los Angeles to give up my electrical engineering career at Jets and go on this crazy ass adventure in Hollywood to try to learn how to meet girls, right? So today we're going to talk about, I'm going to show you a few of the places as we drive up the backside, or drive up Studio City on the way to Hollywood. Today I want to show you a few of these places and kind of tell you what happened. And there's not a lot of known information on this because we've kept it really, really quiet for many years. You know, Brad wanted to be famous with his band, and he didn't want to be famous for teaching dating. There's always been a stigma about it, but you know, these days I think the stigma is a little bit lifted, and I'm safe to tell you about all this crazy shit. So we're gonna head down the hill here in Laurel Canyon, and we're gonna look at I'll tell you the places we're gonna look at. We're gonna go to the Laurel Canyon Country Store, which is where I lived right next to it for about a decade. And I'll take you to the Sunset Strip, and we'll check out where the first mansion was. Then after that, I think we'll go, actually Project Hollywood's on the way. We might stop there. Maybe you guys can see that, see what it looks like today. Where else can we go? We're gonna go to mansion number 1 that's not there. We'll go to mansion number 2, which is there. And then we'll go to mansion number 3, which is still there. And Brad still has it. It's still his. He still owns it, still rents it. And that'll be our little tour of Hollywood today. So here's where it all started, guys. We have this house here on the left where I moved in when I came to Hollywood. And then Brad lived in when I got here, and the one that I lived in for about a decade, you know. We used to park our cars kind of right here and all over the street, and then come down here, take a quick walk. Hundreds of times, right down to the Laurel Canyon Country Store. Now right here on your left down this street, maybe we'll walk down that way first. You can see it's a super busy street. Right down here on the left is Jim Morrison's house, so maybe we'll walk there quick and you guys can see that. If you guys have watched a couple videos of mine, you've seen me building a Barracuda, which happens to be right there. So we'll walk down here, see if we can see Jim's house. Over here on the right, you have a restaurant called Pace. So I used to come over here to this back door here and grab myself a pizza. Pretty cool little spot. If you're ever in LA, you can come down here to Pace restaurant. It's a staple kind of a over here on the left. Let's see if I can pan out. This is Jim's house. You don't live here, you're getting towed. Here we go at the country store. Probably gonna shut this off for a second, get myself a Diet Coke. But here we are in the canyon. This is the famous canyon where Jim Morrison lived, Janis Joplin, all those people all lived and worked up here. I got my French cigarette. San Vicente. All right, so a little bit of Laurel Canyon. I don't like to be too invasive with the photography, right? But that's the place we used to live. That's the Canyon Country Store we used to go to all the time. And this is a short jump here from kind of the Sunset Strip. I kind of think the Sunset Strip's a little bit more west, but we're gonna drive it right now and head west here. Once we get down the hill, we're gonna head to San Vicente, kind of the start of everything for me, at least, when I got here to Los Angeles. The plan was, you're moving to LA. I rented a house, and we're gonna design the house 100% for meeting women. There's gonna be 4 guys who move in, and those dudes are gonna live there for a year, and all they're gonna do is go out, meet women, do their jobs remotely. That's the whole plan, but we need the whole house kind of renovated, for better or worse, for that. Now the house we chose is no longer there. You'll see just a big apartment complex. But at the time, it was like a really weirdly designed house that had like 4 bedrooms. It was quite expensive. You know, it's West Hollywood. It's right below the Sunset Strip. West Hollywood is traditionally and still a very expensive place to live. A lot of demand there, and so this house was just far enough outside. We were able to get it, and you know, it was some kind of like weird ballet studio or something. There was, you know, like mirrors everywhere, or bar, what do they call that, where they got the bar and they're all doing ballet stuff. Anyway, so I'll turn the camera around and we'll see if we can take a little drive through Hollywood. Over here on your right, you have a club that I got kicked out of for acting like I was some famous person. Then we ducked me in underneath a blanket or something and got kicked out. Then here we have the Chateau Marmont. Oh, excuse me. And on the left, kind of over here, I don't know if you're going to going to see kind of straight ahead on the right-hand side is the Saddle Ranch. The Saddle Ranch is iconic both for Hollywood and also for the game, you know. I guess it used to be a cooler spot than it was when I got here. It's hilarious for me, coming from Iowa, to see that like rodeo shit is enough out of the norm that they can make a themed restaurant about like what I thought was a pretty regular deal in Iowa. So that was quite awkward to me. I remember thinking like, oh shit, they think that like Iowa is funny here. Like you can see they've got like a saloon, you know, it's a whole saloon deal. But it remains. Not a lot of stuff remains here. A lot of this stuff is still, there's such high turnover for places in LA. Everything changes its name every 6 months, you know, and has since I've been here. I wish they would reopen like Cress and all the venues that we used to go to. There was one behind the Kodak Theater I really liked. Anyway, here you got on your right the Saddle Ranch. I think those dudes in the game probably came here a lot. We come here every now and then. We would have our coaching tryouts here on like a Tuesday when it was, you know, really hard to do anything, and guys would have to bend over backwards to get, you know, anything to go right. Then I think up here on our left we've got Sky Bar and the Sunset Marquee, which I have heard is going to change names. It's going to be gone. And then one of my favorite places in LA, the Comedy Store, right? Have seen the movie Swingers. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is where they have the pink dot guy, and the pink dot guy comes to deliver some, I don't know, cigarettes and booze to the dudes. As long as I've been in Hollywood, they've had that little car sitting there. Up here, I don't know if it's before Mel's. I think it's definitely before Sunset Plaza, and right before Mel's, I think, is the street with the Project Hollywood stuff. So maybe I'll see if I can, stop there. There it is with all the terraces and shit outside. I believe it's this guy right here. So somebody's done a gigantic renovation job on it. Last time I was here was probably a decade ago. I think Owen was doing some event Brad and I went to. There you go. There's your Project Hollywood. A little snapshot. Everything changes here. I'm surprised to see it. Not surprised to see it renovated, but kind of surprised. And we have Mel's Diner on the right. Still a sweet place to go to. I don't know why, but I feel like I'm in tour guide voice on right now. Still a sweet place to go to. And then on the right side, you'll have this next fucking thing. For those of you who haven't been to Hollywood before, this is kind of a little transitional doorway here. Now, there used to be back just behind us a place called One Sunset that I loved, and then State Social on the left here. And now we're kind of going into what's considered the traditional like Sunset Strip, like the 80s Guns N' Roses shit. You know, you can see on the left there you got Viper Room. This is starting to be like the rock and roll Sunset Strip here. You know, the famous Turner's Liquor that's now, I guess, Roro's. I've heard the Viper Room's going away. Not sure if that's true. see the first mansion. So again, right here in the strip, right up ahead, a ways you'll see like, this is the Whiskey A Go-Go on the right, by the way. Famous place. Rainbow and everything is up there. On the right, there's a bunch of bars here. And so the idea was that our guys would just live in this house just on the left and walk up the hill a few short steps and be right where they could go out. Fucking cops scared the shit out of me. There's like 20 of them rolling around. Anyway, this big monster fucking thing is what was never here. Man, it goes all the way to the back too. Was never here when we were here, but this is the location of the first mansion. Still, it is, yes.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you.
What year?
It is in 1971. Sorry, I'm filming. I don't want you to be on there if you don't want to be on. Anyway, this was the home in 2006 of the mansion. So I remember it because I remember all these next door. But this was a small, tiny house. And this monster thing wasn't here yet. And we would drive our cars, you know, straight through here all the way to the back, park them, and go to this little house. And then the guys would walk straight up to the strip there, where apparently the world is ending. They're coming for me, dude. It's the stoplight. Ah. Here comes a fire truck. Man, it's a busy day here. All right, well, there you have it. San Vicente house. It's the beginning of everything for us. Now we're gonna take off across Hollywood and see mansion number 2. All right, so back up the hill. Sure, there's 26 more cop cars up here trying to figure out where they're going. I cannot turn right. That means you got Whiskey A Go-Go on the left, where apparently they put a fucking spaceship on top. Nice job marketing, spaceship people. So if you didn't see it before, there's the den on the right. Den's a crazy place to me. When I first kind of got to town, they weren't open yet, and then I heard there was a new bar opening, and I was like, shit, I better go be a bartender. So I asked the dude, I was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna come here and bartend. I went at like 3:30 on a Tuesday. And there's nobody there, of course. It was brand new, it just opened. And the guy was like, cool, you're hired. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, all you gotta do is stand here for the next 6 months while nobody comes in. And you make $0. I was like, then he asked the girl who was there, he was like, how much money did you make this week? And she's like, $30. I was like, fuck, man, no thanks, right? So I didn't work there. Alright guys, and for our next installment of places you might pick up a girl or get stabbed, we have Hollywood Boulevard. Start things off on the right with a place called, to me, it's Beetle House now? It was called My House. When I remember it, what a killer spot that was, man, when it opened. We're going to turn on to Hollywood Boulevard here. The Walk of Fame and the Belly of the Beast. See the Chinese Theater on your left, all the famous places, all the touristy spots. We are going to head right on Highland, and we're going to go to the second mansion. So the first, we had that first house going, and we had a lot of guys. We were traveling city to city at the time, Brad and I, signing people up for what we called 30-30 Club, which was a online group of guys, like an online forum, and a group of guys who were doing 30 approaches minimum per month. So 30 approaches in 30 days, I guess, was the goal. And then every once a month you'd had a different like lesson that you would learn that month or thing that you'd work on, and then the goal was by the end of those 12 months you'd be, you know, great with women or whatever. So during that time we were traveling a lot of different cities, kind of the way Owen does now. We were traveling to a bunch of different cities and meeting with what they had at the time were layers. Like they'd have a L-A-I-R, like a layer. And it was a group of guys in every different city, like Chicago, San Francisco, Miami, all these cities. And we would sign guys up for the 30-30 club. So we were starting to get guys a lot more than we could handle. We had demand for coming to Hollywood and living here, but on a pretty big scale, right? We had a lot of guys who wanted to move here. So none of this was here on the right, and even this thing that you're looking at right here on the right was a like a used clothing store. Oh God, they redid the drug house. All right, so let's see if I can pull up here and be missed. So this house on the right used to be like lots of people in and out, a couple of houses that were like semi-burned down. Let's see if I can undo this. And then over here you have the second mansion. So you'll see back here where where the fence like jots out into the alleyway. We did that so that we'd have room in this back little patio there for a hot tub. We could fit the smallest hot tub right there in the alleyway. And this is a house that it didn't have the white thing on the front. We had a bunch of problems with a bunch of homeless people there. And anyway, I built this house with the help of 27 people in about 2 weeks. And it was just a few blocks away from Hollywood Boulevard. And this is the spot of number 2. So we had, I believe, what do we have? 2 guys upstairs, 2 guys upstairs and 1 guy downstairs. I think it was like 3 guys. So that moved our capacity to like 7 or 8 guys total in the 2 houses. So now we're gonna head up to straight back up Hollywood Boulevard, and we're gonna see, man, I can't believe this house is. We're gonna see number 3. All right, coming up on Hollywood and Highland, just talked to these 2 dudes at the light in the Camaro. Told them not to rebuild a car. They were like, nice car. I was like, don't rebuild one. This one took me 13 years to do. Don't do it. A lot of work. So just off the strip here, we're heading towards the Hollywood Bowl. Lucky Strike on the left. It's weird sometimes, you know, in Hollywood you'll have stuff that you don't know that's going to happen. One night I was at Lucky Strike. There's like a Wednesday night thing they used to do there, where people would do a live set. Some people would bowl, and there one night Jerry Cantrell was doing a set, and they were playing Alice in Chains songs. So I called my buddy at the time up, and I was like, yo, you got to get down here. I always remember that when I think about the Lucky Strike. Hitting Franklin. So up here on the left, coming up here, really close to the Hollywood Bowl, is a street called Rockledge. So by the time we'd done these 2 mansions, all of our demand was ramping up still, and we decided that we were going to do a 3rd one. And this one, Brad, was going to be a proper mansion because, you know, the second one was a small little house. The first one was like a 4-bedroom house. Yeah, the second one was kind of tiny, and he bought it. So the 3rd one is like, hey, we're going to build a bigger house, and it's going to be the one that he keeps, right? I didn't say this, but you know, since he sold the last one, the one that I just showed you down there, the little tiny one. So now we're gonna head left on Camrose. Hollywood Bowl's right here on the left. We're looking straight ahead at the 101. If you just keep going straight, it's the 101. We are gonna head up past old folks home on the left to Rockledge. So just a couple quick streets here on Rockledge. Straight ahead here, you see the house of the late Mr. Morgan Woodward, who's a dear friend of mine. Looks like it's for sale. And then the next house you're going to see right up here is the Rockledge house. This is the house, I guess the house that Jake built. He did build it. Came in here with a bunch of guys and built this thing for 3 months. Spent 3 months inside this guy. Brad still owns it, rents it out. I believe it's under renovation right now. We're gonna go up and spin around. But that's the house where most of, well, a lot of the craziness happened. Well, all of them are crazy, but yeah, so there you have it, man. A couple of houses, mansions. There was this thing happening here that kind of nobody knew about. Brad never wanted to be famous for it. We wanted to keep quiet about it, and so that's what we did. This is kind of the first time I've really told anybody about it, like, publicly. But that's what we've been doing in Hollywood for 20 years, since about 2006, 2007. So again, here you have the house here on the right. The scene of the action, the scene of the crime. So guys, I guess that kind of concludes our little tour for the day. I wanted to kind of show everybody what happened and what went on, and a little aspect of the whole story you probably didn't know about, and something that's been my entire life for 20 years. I literally gave up everything that I had and everything that I had worked for to come here to Hollywood. I had I don't know, $800 in my pocket, moved into that first house you saw, started teaching, and here we are 20 years later. So if there's anything you have questions about, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.